think it's often forgotten how big a game that was. Like, if you look around the club, there's no memory of it at all. There's no, uh, and I think for excitement, and I think it was as big on the Whittle that day with the number of fans travelling to Edgeley Park, uh, and how much of a buzz there was, after, the fans on the pitch. uh, it was just a fantastic day. Uh, Gary Ablett, God bless his soul, was manager of Stockport. Um, as we know, we tried to do nothing that week that was any different to what we normally do. We tried to keep it exactly the same. And Peter Johnson said to me, again, God rest him, that we could go the night before if we wanted and stay in a hotel. And we said, no, that's not what we want. We'll let's keep everything the same. Let's not get the lads hyped up for it and that. And then, but arriving with the crowd round and that, and then my memory, others might be different, but my memory was the game itself was quite comfortable. We were quite comfortable. We scored at good times, and Goody obviously scored. And it was coming back from the crowd that the other results were going for us anyway. As it turned out, because we'd had a couple of wins in the last 4 games. I think we'd had two home wins, and we'd done all right. We'd given ourselves a chance of, even if we didn't win, of staying up or drawing anyway. And it looks, the league table actually looks, when you look at it, more comfortable than it was. And it was just such a memorable day for me, because we'd taken over when we were sort of being tailed off. We had a decent sort of November, or not long after. We went just 3 or 4 defeats in 10 games, I think, and then we had a bit of a sticky patch. But when I remember the Exeter game leading up to it, we beat Exeter at home, and Exeter were going for promotion, and their manager stormed off at the end of the game. Didn't say well done or whatever, and phoned me up the following day and sincerely apologised for it. But he was devastated that he'd been beaten by us. I think we beat Norwich as well in the lead up to it as well, which was a good win. And then a massive win, helped, I think, by Robbo against Millwall, which was a great win. So we'd done the hard work before the Stockport game to put us in a position where we could be safe. And as we all know, we ended up winning 3-0. Crowd went mad, mobbed all the players, all on the pitch and that, and all went back to Brenton Park. And all the fans were there as well, all getting drunk. So it was one of those days that I couldn't have written it any better, really. Well, I could have written it better. I could have put it that we were safe before that
game. There were in excess of 3,000 Tranmere fans at Stockport that day. Now, I know it's a fairly short journey, but Tranmere haven't taken 3,000 to an away league game since then. That's by far and away the biggest away attendance they'll have had. I mean, they've had big attendances down at Wembley, but 3,000, utterly remarkable, the amount they took that day. And you're right, it was such a great moment, particularly that it was Goody who got the goal, so steeped in Tranmere history. And there were some other players who were very much steeped in Tranmere history who were involved in your team that day. Obviously, Andy Robinson back for his second or third spell by that point. Ash Taylor at centre half, Ian Moore playing as well. So it was so great that they got to feel that as well, because if we're being brutally honest, Les, there weren't too many big games for Tranmere in that period. So for them to have those ones, which they did have that positive feeling about, is nice for them as much as it's wonderful for you too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you're right, we didn't have any sort of, a big game for us was like Wolves at home in the FA Cup, or Swansea at home. And sort of nothing on the game really. I know it's the FA Cup. I know you're playing a Premier League side, but really you're not going to win the FA Cup, so there's nothing on the game really. So to have, there is something on the game if you're away at Aston Villa in the semi-final of the League Cup. Not playing Wolves on a Sunday at 6:30, whatever it was, on the telly. But that game, there was something on it. So it's a fantastic experience for them, and they know they played the part. They know it was them that kept Tranmere in League One.
One of my memories from that day is you guys not being allowed back on the field after the game to come and not do a lap of honour, but maybe show your appreciation to the fans, and the fans show that appreciation back, because I don't know what the reason was. So there was never going to be any trouble if you came on the club.
It was safety. And I suppose it took them some time to get everybody off the pitch, because it took quite a lot of, when you look at footage, it took quite a lot of time for the players to get back to the dressing room, because when the whistle went, the fans were quick in sort of diving onto the pitch. So it was just a fantastic, and it was a shame that we couldn't go back out. Even if I remember saying to one of the stewards, "We'd just go to the end of the tunnel. We won't go round. We just go out of the tunnel, which is sort of in the corner, isn't it? And just sort of do a clap from there." And they just wouldn't have it. Whether they were happy that we sort of stayed up, and they'd been relegated as well. So whether there was a threat to their fans getting involved, I don't know.
I do have an image in my head of you coming and standing on a wall by the tunnel to applaud the fans, but that's about as far as you got.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I remember that as well. I just that was, out of all of these, as an experience, because I had some input into it as well. That's got to be my favourite game of right the way through.
It's a brilliant one to pick, an incredibly memorable one as well. And we talked about kind of the uncanniness of dates before, with the Villa semi-final second leg being on the same day as the Leicester final 6 years later. Do you know what date was, what game was also on the 8th of May, many years earlier?
8th of May, a playoff game.
No, it was the 1-0 win over Exeter, which Tranmere won to stay up in 1987 as well. Isn't history incredible?
Was it? You'd have thought, I don't know, you'd have thought that would have been really flagged up, wouldn't you? To be fair, personally, the Stockport game is bigger, but to be going out of the league altogether and to stay in the league and being at home, I think is a bigger achievement, I think.